RT1-4 is about the Pythagorean Theorem. So recall that in a right triangle, the hypotenuse is this side. So it's the side opposite the right angle. It also always ends up being the longest side in a right triangle. That's not in every triangle. It's only in right triangles that we have a hypotenuse. So if you're talking about like a scalene triangle, right? If none of these angles are right triangles or right angles, then none of the sides are the hypotenuse. The Pythagorean theorem says that in a right triangle with legs A and B and hypotenuse C, the sum of the square of each leg equals the square of the hypotenuse. In other words, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This should be familiar from past years, but if not, that's okay. Alright, so here are some visual proofs. You can watch these on your own. We're going to do some examples. And unfortunately, Google is really bad at drawing in those right angles. So just trust me, these are right triangles. I know my two legs, so I'm starting with my formula. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared, which means that 9 plus 16, which equals 25, equals C squared. When I take the square root, I get that C equals 5 centimeters. On this next example, I have my hypotenuse, and I'm looking for my second leg. So I know 13 squared has to equal 5 squared plus B squared, or 169 equals 25 plus B squared. Move that 25 over and I get 144 equals B squared, which tells me B equals 12 centimeters. On this last problem, we start with a circle, and sometimes kids freak out because they're like, I can't do anything with this, it's a circle. And you're right, but I can make a triangle out of it. So if I drop in that triangle, then I'm thinking this is my distance on the x-axis, which has to be 6 because I'm going over 6 units. This is the distance I go up on my y-axis to that point, which has to be 8. Now I can use that Pythagorean formula, so 6 squared plus 8 squared has to equal x squared. So 36 plus 64, which equals 100, equals x squared. So x equals 10. Alright, and then we're told here the diagonal of a square is 50 inches and we want the area. I'm going to underline that I want the area so I don't forget and do too much work. The nice thing about squares is that all the sides are the same. And I have a right angle. So instead of using A and B, I'm going to use A and A because I know they have to be the same measurement. So this is 2A squared. 50 squared is 25 plus 2 more zeros. When I divide by 2, I get A squared equals 1,250. And some of you are wanting to take the square root right now. Don't do that. Okay? Because we want the area. And the area has to equal A times A, or A squared. So I could take the square root, but then I'd just turn around and square it again. So I'm going to stop right here. That's my answer. 1,250 inches squared. Similar problem, but working backwards. I know the area is 81, which tells me, hey, each side has to be 9. And we want the length of the diagonal. So I'm going to do 9 squared plus 9 squared equals x squared. 81 plus 81 equals x squared. 81 plus 81 is 162. when I take the square root of both sides. Right now we haven't reviewed how to simplify radicals, so it is okay with me if you leave your answer like that for today. I'm going to review it over here. And we'll do this again in about a week. So if this is tough, that's okay. 162 is the same as 81 times 2, and I'm looking for perfect squares. I can pull that out, so the square root of 81 is 9, and I'm left with the square root of 2. All the other mathematicians want you to give this answer. For right now, I'll accept this answer as well. Alright, now we're playing baseball with Pythagoras, which is totally normal, not at all weird. We have a baseball diamond, which is really a square. Each side is 90. So we're going to do some math. So we know 90 squared plus 90 squared has to equal the distance squared. 9 times 9 is 81. Tack on 2 more zeros. That has to equal c squared. Clean up a little bit and then take the square root. Right now, again, I'm okay if you leave your answer like this. Pretty soon, you're going to need to simplify. So we said before, hey, this is 8100 times 2. The square root of this is 90. This is your actual answer. Again, for right now, it's okay if you give me that or this. Technically, this is the better answer.